and Bruce Howard did an acoustic jam down by the riverbank. And I thought, well, this is the perfect opening to the festival. And then all these people flooded in. There were 35 to 40,000. We don't know the exact number because a lot of people sneaked in over the back fences. The only people who know how many people were at that first Sunbury is the Australian Taxation Office. Because they flew a light plane over the site, taking photographs and then counting the people to see if the tickets had been underreported. But certainly it was jam-packed. You couldn't.
It definitely was. Yeah. And just the excitement of being at a thing like that with a lot of your peers, and mum and dad weren't there, and all that sort of stuff. So party on.
The police were taking a very lenient attitude. They were treating the attendees as amiable eccentrics, I think was the word that Mick Miller used, and they weren't going to overreact to a little bit of herbal fragrance floating around. A little bit. Yeah, there was quite a bit of that going on. But none of the hard drugs and the pills that you associate with modern festivals. So I don't think there was anyone in any real danger there. What do you think the festivals did for Australian music?
Well, it really brought it to the front as far as the public was concerned, because, and even now, as I said to you before, the fact is that the celebration of Sunbury now has drawn so much attention. It's fantastic. But I think the parents were sort of a little bit, gee, I hope they're going to be okay. But the kids had a ball with the whole thing, and really it did. It elevated a lot of Australian bands to a far higher level, which was great. Up until then, everything was a little bit sort of, well, they're not as good as an American band or an English band, but it really put a great profile on Australian music.
Yeah. I think it also did that for the technical side of the industry too. Adrian, what are your thoughts on Sunbury?
First time all of the Australian bands are on the same footing. We've got the same PA, got Australians operating it. It wasn't wound down, and just they had a chance.
No PA politics.
Mm.
And we experienced that when we supported the Rolling Stones. We only got a little bit of the PA, and the Rolling Stones come on and they had the whole system. But that's a common story with a lot of the international acts.
Yeah, and lots of times they have the babysitter sitting there, so that to make sure that that's what happened.
Mm.
How did you physically manage to get that many bands on and off stage?
I don't know.
Bearing in mind there's a one single lane road down to the stage. Everything had to come down because there was a limited amount of backline. So bands had to be brought down, their instruments had to be brought down, their girlfriends had to be brought down, and any other hangers-on they might have had.
Yeah. Get them through the gate, get them down there, trying to keep a schedule together, make sure that the bands kept on time, didn't play over. With that single lane road, the first year, I don't know whether it was graded properly that year.
Yeah, it was.
But it still, wasn't much room to pass. And all the time you're looking out, where's the next band, are they here? And sometimes we had to jump one band over the other because a couple of members of that band weren't there. So all of a sudden at the last minute, hey, the next band is here, let's shove them on now, quick.
Yeah. And where did you draw your crew from?
Well, all the when you're working, because I was working roading, I think I roadied for Mike once, one night when you didn't have someone.
I've forgotten.
Yeah. But we were working around town, and afterwards there was amazing camaraderie with the roadies, and there'd be clubs around Melbourne where everyone would go at 3 or 4 in the morning after you'd finished your 3 or 4 gigs for the day, or 2 gigs or whatever it was. And so they'd all meet at these clubs, and you'd get to know them, and the ones that got on, that weren't, you know, up themselves or whatever, and really had a work ethic. And so we handpicked the guys, and yeah, that's how we got. You know, just the guys that just keep going, you know.
Australian roadies are the best roadies, I reckon.
Yeah. And of course, you know, the music ran from about 10 in the morning till 4 the following morning, or even 5. I remember one particularly hot night, we'd finished the music for the night, and Lobby Lloyd decided to get up and play his anthem, God, which stands for Guitar Overdrive. And everyone's laying down sleeping, and Lobby Lloyd starts up, his bass player's still up the top of the hill, and he races down the hill, and gradually the band assembles on stage, and half an hour later they're still going, and the whole hill is just jumping with people.
And he was actually a Sunbury boy, that bass player.
Oh yes,
Jan
Mickles,
John Mickles, yeah. He lived, just opposite the Shell where the childcare centre is now. That's where he lived.
And of course the festival was actually Diggers Rest, but it was decided that Diggers Rest wasn't a suitable name for a rock festival. Sunbury certainly had a better ring to it. And the original name for it was the Sunbury Summer Happening, which almost didn't happen because of the Victorian government, but unfortunately Parliament was in recess, they couldn't pass any laws to ban it. Mike, what do you remember of those days?
Just generally, or
generally or specifically, whichever you wish.
well, actually, we did the first two Sunburys as Spectrum and Murtceps, as I recall. I'm just I saw the menu, and there we were. So yes, I think we were there. And but I don't actually remember specific times, apart from once when we, as we are prone to do, when we're asked by somebody like Adrian, last number, we'd crack onto some good advice which goes for 10 minutes. And really upset everybody. Anyway, it either started raining or it stopped raining at the end of that song, and we were quite proud that we controlled the weather. But there was a big crowd, and 90% of them had never heard of us before, apart from one number. And we got to that number, they go, "Oh, that's who they are." Did you understand that? No? Anyway, I don't really have a terrific memory of it. We did, one of those years, we arrived down from Sydney, and then the road crew arrived after us, and they sort of just made it in time. And yes, there weren't many pills on the hill, but there were in the truck.
Yes.
Kept them